Dan, so I wanted to ask you about machine learning. We've heard quite a lot of talk about that and AI and its implications and practical use around advertising. So maybe you could sort of explain to us the work that Google does and sort of...
Yeah, well, it's an enormous topic, and there are a dozen different ways that machine learning is really becoming the core of what we do. But in the context of analytics, what we've seen over the last several years is we've gone from a place where a lot of companies and advertisers and brands are trying to just pull all of their data together and structure it to the point where they're now able to do more interesting things like do modeling on top of that data, doing attribution, and then putting that data into action. And that's where machine learning really starts to shine, because once the data is in one place and it's structured, you can start trying to move towards aligning your marketing actions with ultimate business value.
So how do you work with the buyers, the agencies or the brands in making this work?
So what we do in analytics is we provide a platform for customers to be able to measure their online behavior of their users across their websites and their apps, and also bring data in from other sources that they have. So they can essentially gain one view of their users across all these channels. And then we've also been investing heavily in automating the tools to start predicting in real time the likelihood, for example, that somebody is going to convert on the website or in the app, and actually be able to use that data and put it into action in their ad channels and export that data outside of the system to use in their non-ads channels.
So explain a little bit more about predictive. What could marketers see, and what's the value of that?
Yeah, so it's a huge topic, but I think a really helpful analogy is if you look at what the DeepMind team did with AlphaGo. So if you're not familiar with Go is an ancient board game, orders of magnitude more complex in terms of all of the permutations of moves that can result versus chess. And it's been studied by humans for thousands of years. And the key challenge in Go for machine learning has been to outperform humans. And the Google DeepMind team basically came up with a solution to predict at any given point in time what is the next best move in Go. And from a marketer's perspective, there are a lot of analogies between how to predict the next best move in Go when you have potentially billions of permutations of different moves that you can take, and what's the next best move in marketing, whether to re-engage somebody on email, what sort of offer to give them, whether to re-engage them on display. And one of the ways that the DeepMind team solved this challenge was they simultaneously needed to come up with a way to figure out the next best move, but before they could even do that, they had to figure out, well, who's actually winning at any point in time. And so they built, as a starting point, a network to predict what is the score at any point in time. And that's where we are now in analytics, where we are starting to see more and more companies building these pieces to predict at any given point in time, what is the user's value, or where are we in the game, so that we can ultimately predict, based on where they are now, what is the next best move that we can take to optimize towards incremental predicted lifetime value.
And just, I wanted to ask about working with the agencies and how you see sort of the clients in terms of their organization, their operations, working with the buy side, how that's changing and sort of what you're seeing, and what you think, if you were to advise your colleagues on the buy side to work more efficiently with Google around machine learning.
Great question. So I think one large trend we've seen over the last several years is that previously disparate or siloed organizations within a company are now starting to be more collaborative. And in many cases, they're actually becoming part of the same team that has expertise across advertising, across non-advertising marketing channels, and across analytics as a platform for all of that. And I think that is part of the trend that is going to continue as we see the need for being able to develop more personalized experiences across all these channels when the user has given us the consent to do it. And even when we don't know who the user is, it's still important to be really thoughtful about the way that we're using their data. And so we're also seeing benefits from having a more thoughtful or tailored approach to what data we're collecting versus just collecting everything.